what did you expect in 2021 from the investment side of the business compared to 2020, the year before? What were your predictions? What were you thinking when it came to that, as far as just the investment side, rehabbing properties, turning properties, all that stuff?
Well, I knew numbers were going to get tighter, over the year, because you could see construction costs going up in 2020. And so I knew they were going to get tighter. So I knew we were going to have to be tighter, on our project numbers and how things were going to look. But my big prediction that I thought we were going to have a lot more foreclosures. And I thought that dam would have broken loose already, and it didn't. And so I know, they keep, I do a lot of reading on it, and they say that, it's not looking as bad as it possibly can be. But then you hear things like, there's potentially, 2 to 3 million homes still in forbearance and stuff like that. And 2 to 3 million homes, in forbearance, if they don't get sold or they have to come on the market, that's enough to shift the market, big time across the United States. And so I was fully expecting this year and it's one of the reasons why I made such a push into the investment side, is I thought that we were going to be able to pick up a lot of more, people in distressed situations. And I thought that was really going to break loose this year, but it hasn't. But it's got to at some point, right? I mean, not everybody's going to get out.
I'm going to debate you on that. I don't think, like, if you're saying there's 2 million potential foreclosures out there, people struggling, I don't think you'll see. I think you might see 25% of those hit the market. So I don't think it's going to be that impactful. And the reason why I say that, number one, the banks are making more money than ever right now. Yeah. Number two, the government is pushing harder than ever for the people that are struggling. And so what I've read and what I've heard from multiple people that I've talked to is that there's a lot of pressure on the banks or the servicers of these loans to just figure it out. Now, if somebody's flat out cannot pay and will not pay, and you have to realize, like, this is stuff that I learned back when I was in the game, that banks will wait years sometimes. I've heard of banks waiting 5 years before they ever foreclose on someone that has not paid. And so if you're not paying, inevitably you will get foreclosed on. But I feel like there's so much pressure from government. There's so much pressure on banks in general for the people. There's so much pressure on banks because of, like, cryptocurrency, and, like, they're feeling more pressure, I think, as banks than they ever have. And so they have to figure it out to be a good servicer and to get things done. They have to find a way. And that's what I've heard from a lot of people, is that they're getting pressure, and that basically everybody, all the government and whomever, is saying, find a way to keep people in their house. We're not going through this again. Okay. Yeah, and so that's why I'm a big believer that, 25% of the 2 million will hit the market. And if you can jump on it, you can jump on it. But the thing is, if the market is low inventory and a bank owned comes on the market, the bank's going to play games. I mean, I'm watching it. I watch bank owned properties every day, and they overprice it. They sit on it for 30, 60, 90, 120, 180 days. And you're like, what are you doing? It just whatever they do doesn't make any sense. And so I have thrown in a couple offers, and I know a couple other guys have thrown offers on bank properties. But the other thing is like, they're not allowing an investor to buy the property until after 30, 60, 90 days because they want to sell it to. So I think your philosophy is going to be, even if 2 million properties come to market, the banks are going to try to sell it to individuals or actual owner occupants before investors. I think it's going to be a hard nut to crack, because I don't think enough volume will come to the market where they have to go to the investors and say, hey, can you help me? The other thing is, the other reason why, and I like this topic because I think it'll, from my perspective, it'll debunk a potential myth. If they really need to get rid of properties, like, let's say they have a package deal on the secondary market, because that's how these properties are put together. They package them on a secondary market. Well, Zillow's out of the game, but Open Door isn't out of the game. BlackRock isn't out of the game. They'll just go, hey, knock, knock. What if I sell this to you at a discount? Would you take these 100 properties and I'll sell it to you at a discount? Oh, sure.
Why not? That's so true.
So now that's another barrier to entry before it gets to you and me, who's actually going to have an opportunity to buy it at the right price. I just think
Yeah.
In my opinion, I wouldn't bank on it because I just don't think it's going to happen unless something major happens where a huge influx, like back in 2006 and 2000 or 2008, where a huge influx comes and people can't absorb it. So that's my 2 cents on it. But I was thinking the same thing. I thought through that whole process and I researched that process, and that was kind of the conclusion I came to. I don't know. Do you think it has merit?
No, yeah, I know. I can see it both sides, but I can, in our area of Oregon, I mean, they haven't even really let a foreclosure go through, even if there was something pending. And normally there's normal levels of foreclosures, right? Like that properties that are just going to transition through that they haven't even let transition through. It's probably the lowest number of foreclosures in the last 2 years, probably on record in history. I mean,
government
those things are still there,
right?
Right. Those things are still there. I mean, they're going to go eventually to foreclosure. And I'm not worried about it, shifting the regular real estate market. I just want to be able to get in that avenue and be able to go buy some.
Give me 3 or 4 or 5 of them, right?
Yeah, it's like to add to my inventory, to be able to is another avenue to be like, hey, there's a great deal going on down at the courthouse today, and so that you can be jumping in on. So, but yeah, that's kind of like my thought. I just thought that they would have lifted that ban, for the ability to do that by now, to be able to allow those to go through. And I've heard it a few different ways. There's people that truly believe there's going to be a financial crisis from foreclosures, out there, people that are in forbearance. And I've watched a lot of videos on it either way, but I'm kind of with you. Like, I'm on the more neutral side of it. Like, I don't think it'll fully shift our market, like into a completely different market. I do think that there will be enough to come on that will cause a lot of people to get some good homes. And I'm with you on the fact that they're going to want to sell them to, single family homeowners versus investors all day long if they can. And that's what the government will force or want them to do.